Welcome to the Artemis 9 podcast, where I test what fails so you can find what works, helping you work less and earn more. What if you could build a successful business working just 4 hours a day? Not another get-rich-quick scheme, but a real AI-powered system. In today's episode, I reveal exactly how I did it. In this episode, you'll discover the exact AI tools I'm using to automate my business, my complete 4-hour daily framework, how I replaced time-consuming tasks with AI systems, and the automated strategies that actually work and those that don't. Whether you're drowning in tasks, missing family moments, or just ready to work smarter instead of harder, this episode provides the blueprint for transforming your business with AI. Join me, along with our expert hosts, Sarah and Mike, as we break down every aspect of this AI business transformation.
All right, so picture this. You're running a successful business, crushing it. Only working 4 hours a day.
The dream.
Right, seriously, is that even possible?
Well, that's exactly what Artemis 9 says he's doing. He starts his story, from a very relatable place. He was just a guy who was totally burnt out, just overworked.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I guess it's his whole AI journey. It actually started with like a drawing his daughter made.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she drew him as this like isolated stick figure hunched over a laptop.
Oh.
And she even left the background blank.
Really?
Yeah, she said that's all he ever does.
Ouch.
Can you imagine how that must have felt?
Yeah, that's got to be a wake-up call.
Total wake-up call.
Seeing himself, through his daughter's eyes made him realize how much he was missing out on.
So what did he do?
Well, that same night, almost on impulse, he decided to try out an AI tool just to see what it could do.
Interesting. And was he impressed?
Totally blown away. Things that used to take him hours were suddenly done in minutes.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So that's when the seed was planted.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. This AI could be his way out of this, this hamster wheel.
The endless grind.
Exactly.
Now, we have to understand, Artemis 9 wasn't just some casual dabbler with this stuff.
Okay.
He was at a breaking point, stressed to the max, even though his business was making good money.
It's like the classic entrepreneur trap, right?
Totally.
Success on paper, but at what cost?
Right. He starts researching AI not just as a cool new tech trend,
Right.
but as a potential lifeline.
I like that. A lifeline.
Yeah.
Okay, so he saw this as like a way to actually save himself.
Exactly. And he's very clear that his goal wasn't to replace humans with robots.
Okay.
It was about figuring out how AI could take over the most tedious, time-consuming parts of his work.
So he could focus on the things that actually matter.
Exactly. He realized that a lot of what he and his team were doing was repetitive.
Even if it seemed complex on the surface.
Yeah, and this is where the concept of the 4-hour workday started to take shape.
Okay, so he's starting to think big here.
He starts to envision a business that's essentially AI-powered,
Right.
allowing him to work less and live more.
I love it. Now, this is where it gets really interesting because Artemis 9 actually breaks down his entire business model into 4 key areas.
Okay.
The content creation, distribution, monetization, and operations.
All right, so he's covering all the bases.
Yeah, and he goes deep on how AI is integrated into each one.
Smart.
So let's start with content creation because for Artemis 9, this is where the biggest transformation happened.
Okay, so content creation, this is how he's getting his message out there.
Exactly, and he claims that he now uses AI to generate about 80% of his content. Everything from blog posts and social media updates to even scripts for videos.
That's a lot of AI.
It is. But before you think he's just pumping out, robotic gibberish, he's very adamant about the importance of human oversight.
Okay, so there's still a human touch.
Absolutely. He uses tools like ChatGPT and Jasper for the initial generation.
Right.
But then he spends a good chunk of his time editing and refining, adding his own unique perspective and making sure the quality is top-notch.
So he's using AI as a tool, not as a replacement.
Exactly.
Got it. And that's where I think tools like Make.com come into play.
Make.com.
Yeah, for those who haven't encountered it, Make is a powerful automation platform that allows you to connect different apps and services and create custom workflows.
Okay, so kind of like a super connector.
Exactly.
So in Artemis 9's case, he uses Make to automate the entire content production process.
Wow, so the AI generates the draft and then Make automatically formats, it adds images, schedules it for publishing.
Across multiple platforms.
All without him lifting a finger.
That's incredible.
It's a fascinating example of how AI and automation can work together seamlessly.
I love it.
But it doesn't stop there. Artemis 9 also uses AI to handle the distribution side of things.
Okay, so getting the content out to the people.
Exactly.
Hmm.
He takes a multi-platform approach, sharing his content across various channels to reach the widest possible audience.
So he's not putting all his eggs in one basket.
Nope. And to manage this efficiently, he turns to AI-powered scheduling tools like Buffer.
Buffer. Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, these tools analyze data on when your audience is most active and suggest the optimal times to post for maximum visibility and engagement.
So you're not just guessing, you're using data to make sure your content is seen.
Exactly. But even beyond scheduling, Artemis 9 uses tools like Hype Fury to automate engagement.
Automate engagement. Can you really automate genuine interaction?
Well, that's what's so interesting about Hype Fury. It allows you to set up automated responses to comments, join relevant discussions, and basically keep the conversation flowing even when you're not physically online.
That's wild. So even when he's sleeping, the AI is out there working for him.
In a way, yeah. And to connect all these different tools and platforms.
Because it's got to be a lot to keep track of.
It is. Artemis 9 uses Zapier, which is like the glue that holds his entire digital ecosystem together.
So it's like AI is creating the content, automation is handling the distribution and engagement.
And Artemis 9 is freed up to focus on the bigger picture.
Pretty clever, right?
It really is a well-oiled machine. And this brings us to the next key area, monetization.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, a 4-hour workday is great, but it has to be profitable.
Exactly, right? And that's what makes Artemis 9's approach so intriguing. He's not just using AI to save time, he's actually using it to generate revenue.
Okay, so how's he doing that?
Well, he's built this multifaceted income stream. It's powered by AI at every level.
He's using AI to make sure the right content reaches the right people at the right time.
Exactly, a very targeted approach.
All right.
And then there's Gumroad, which he uses to sell digital products and these AI-powered templates.
Okay, so what kind of templates are we talking about?
Well, these aren't just random downloads. He's taken the time to document his systems, create templates for everything from content outlines to social media posts.
Wow, so he's basically giving people a blueprint.
Yeah, he's packaged them up as valuable resources for other entrepreneurs.
I bet people are snapping those up.
They are. And to top it off, he even offers limited consulting services.
So even when he's working one-on-one with clients, he's still finding ways to make it more efficient.
Exactly. He uses tools like Calendly for scheduling and even AI-powered transcription services to make sure he captures every important detail during consultations.
So no detail is missed.
Right. Even though he's not directly involved, AI is still working in the background.
It's like having a virtual assistant on steroids.
Exactly. And all of this allows Artemis 9 to focus on what he calls strategic thinking and growth.
Okay, so he's freed up from the day-to-day grind to think about the bigger picture.
Exactly. He spends his limited work hours analyzing data, identifying opportunities, and refining his systems to make them even more efficient.
Always improving, always iterate.
That's the key. And this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle operations.
Operations, the behind-the-scenes stuff that keeps everything running smoothly.
Yeah. And this is where things tend to get bogged down for a lot of business owners. But Artemis 9, of course, has an AI-powered solution.
I'm sensing a pattern here. So how's he using AI to manage all the back-end stuff?
Well, he relies heavily on AI tools like Claude for all sorts of administrative tasks, like organizing emails, even drafting contracts.
So he's basically got a robot secretary.
Pretty much. And he's also using AI to automate customer support with chatbots handling common inquiries and routing more complex issues to the appropriate team member.
Okay, so even when he's not directly involved, AI is keeping things running smoothly.
That's the idea. It's all about creating a system that can run itself.
Okay, so we've covered the 4 main pillars of his business model: content distribution, monetization, and operations. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What does a typical 4-hour workday actually look like for Artemis 9?
Well, he's actually quite specific about this. He breaks his day down into 4 distinct hours, each with a very clear focus.
Okay, so walk us through it.
The first hour is dedicated to strategy.
So he starts his day by putting on his CEO hat and figuring out the big picture stuff?
Exactly. He uses a project management tool called ClickUp, which gives him a real-time overview of all his projects and key metrics.
So he can see everything at a glance.
Right. And there are these AI-powered dashboards within ClickUp that help him identify, trend spot potential problems, and make data-driven decisions about where to focus his energy.
So he's using AI to get a clear understanding of what's working, what's not, and what needs to be adjusted.
Precisely, and this data-driven approach informs everything he does throughout the day.
Okay, I like it. So what's next?
The second hour is dedicated to content creation.
Back to the AI content machine. So how does that process actually work in practice?
He still uses that combination of ChatGPT and Jasper to generate those initial drafts, but then he spends a good chunk of this hour adding his own insights, refining the language, and making sure the content aligns with his overall strategy.
So the AI is doing the heavy lifting, but he's still very much involved in the creative process, making sure it's high quality and authentic to his brand.
Exactly, it's a partnership.
And once the content is ready to go, he uses Buffer to schedule it across his various platforms.
Right, ensures a consistent flow of content without him having to manually post everything.
Makes sense. Now what about the third hour?
Hour 3 is all about engagement. This is where Artemis 9 focuses on connecting with his audience, responding to comments, participating in discussions, and nurturing his online community.
Okay, but how can he possibly do all that in just 1 hour?
Well, that's where tools like Hype Fury come in. They help him automate a lot of those routine engagement tasks, like responding to common questions or thanking people for their comments. But he also sets aside time for more personal interactions, like joining live Q&A sessions or hopping on video calls with key members of his community.
So he's not just relying on AI to do all the talking, he's still making time for genuine human connection, which is so important.
Absolutely can't forget about the human element.
Right. And finally, the fourth hour.
Hour 4 is dedicated to optimization.
This sounds like the geek out hour where he gets to tinker with all his cool AI tools and systems.
Pretty much, he spends this time refining his automations in Zapier, testing new tools, analyzing data to see what's performing well, and constantly looking for ways to make his systems even more efficient.
So he's built this self-improving machine where the AI is constantly learning and getting better over time.
Exactly, always striving for that marginal gain.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds amazing, but what about the human element? Is Artemis 9 just a robot overlord who's lost touch with reality?
That's a fair question, and it's easy to get caught up in the tech and forget that there's a real person behind all of this. But that's what makes Artemis 9's story so compelling. He's not just obsessed with efficiency and automation.
So there's more to it than just the tools.
He's very clear about why he's doing all of this. He wants to create a life where he can spend more time with his family, pursue his passions, and make a positive impact on the world.
So it's not just about working less, it's about living more.
Exactly. And I think that's something we can all relate to.
I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. Like, we all want more time for the things that matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, it's easy to hear a story like Artemis 9's and think, well, that's great for him. He's got some, special AI skills.
Right. Like he's some kind of tech wizard.
Yeah, but I could never do that.
But what's interesting is that Artemis 9 doesn't present himself as some kind of tech prodigy at all.
Really?
Yeah, he actually emphasizes that anyone can learn this stuff.
So he's not trying to gatekeep or anything.
No, not at all. In fact, he's incredibly transparent about his entire process.
So he's sharing all his secrets.
Pretty much, he's documenting his entire AI journey, sharing his tools, his templates, even his ROI calculations.
Wow. So he's not holding anything back?
Nope. He's basically created a step-by-step guide to building your own 4-hour workday.
That's amazing. So anyone can follow along and learn from his experience.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so powerful. It demystifies AI and makes it accessible to people who might feel intimidated by the technology.
I think a lot of people are intimidated by AI. They think it's this complex thing that only experts can understand.
Right. But Artemis 9 breaks it down into these manageable steps. Start small, build gradually, and always focus on the outcomes you want to achieve.
So it's not about mastering every AI tool on the market. It's about being strategic.
Exactly. Find the areas in your work where AI can make the biggest difference, and then find the right tools for the job.
I like that. Find the right tool for the job.
Yeah. And what the key principles that Artemis 9 emphasizes is the importance of systems.
Systems.
Yeah, he's a big believer in documenting everything, creating templates, automating workflows, and constantly refining his processes.
So it's not just about throwing AI at a problem and hoping for the best you need to have a structured approach.
Precisely. You need a framework, a system, and a commitment to continuous improvement.
That makes sense. And I think that's what sets him apart from a lot of those hustle culture gurus out there.
Right. He's not advocating for working harder or faster. He's advocating for working smarter, leveraging technology to create a more sustainable and fulfilling work life.
And that's something we can all get behind.
Yeah, who doesn't want a more balanced and fulfilling life?
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Artemis 9's AI-powered 4-hour workday, I think the big question is this the future of work? Is this something that everyone can and should be doing?
It's a great question. And I think there's a lot we can learn from Artemis 9's approach, whether or not this becomes the norm. Only time will tell. But one thing is clear, AI is here to stay, and it's going to fundamentally change the way we work. The question is, will we embrace the change and use it to our advantage, or will we be left behind?
That's a powerful thought to leave us with. And for our listeners, we want to pose a challenge. What's one time-consuming task in your work life that you could automate? What would it mean for you to reclaim those hours? The tools are out there. The inspiration is here. Now it's up to you to take the first step.
Thank you, Mike and Sarah. And if you're ready to start your own AI transformation journey, here's where to find more. Head over to Artemis 9 on Substack, where I share detailed breakdowns of every AI tool and system I test. And for videos and tutorials of my AI experiments, check out Artemis 9 on YouTube, where I post weekly videos showing exactly how I'm building and automating passive income muses in real time. You can find links to both in the show notes or just search Artemis 9. That's Artemis Roman numeral IX on Substack and YouTube. And remember, I test what fails, you can find what works. This is the Artemis 9 podcast. And until next time, remember to master AI before it masters you.